What is up, you guys, and welcome back to Boys Bullet. Today I'm going to be showing you my professional men's bullet journal setup for the month of May. And just because my channel name is Boys Bullet and this video has men in the title, anyone can watch this video and use this setup in their own month. For the month of May, I just wanted to do something a little bit more simplistic in my bullet journal. Usually I go all out for the cover page, but I didn't really have a lot of time, and I've been liking the way that some of the crisp line work I've been seeing on Pinterest has been looking lately. For the cover, I just made a basic rectangle with the word May in it, and I did a little line accent around the bottom of it. One thing that I really like to do, even though I'm not very good at brushwork, is just pull out a piece of scrap paper and practice my title. That way I can really get the style that I want to achieve down before I write it in my bullet journal and it becomes permanent. As you can see, I'm just trying out a few different techniques. I really love these Prismacolor brush pens just because they're super easy to use. And yeah, I ended up going with the first style that I chose and I feel like it turned out pretty good. Last but not least, I'm putting a little quote at the bottom. This is just something that my mentor used to tell me, and I think about it a lot. It's just wake up and work. And I feel like that's a really good motto to live by. It doesn't put a lot of pressure on you. It's just saying wake up and make your dreams a reality. And last but not least, I just like to go back over my bullet journal and erase all of the pencil marks. Usually before I plan, I mark out my journal with pencil. That way I can have a good idea of the spread that I want, because once you put the marker, it's permanent. This next page in my bullet journal is just my month at a glance. So after all of my monthly spreads, I like to have a calendar, because the calendar on my phone, I feel like it's really inefficient. My phone is super slow. So at the beginning of every month, I like to be able to just flip back to the first page of the journal and know that I have a calendar there. Sometimes I'll do the calendar on the first page or the second page. If you're wondering why I didn't write the calendar on the back of the month cover sheet, it's just because the bullet journal that I'm using, the pages are really fragile, and I have a tip for that later if you have a similar bullet journal. But yeah, I didn't want to write on the back of that very first page in this new journal because I was fearful that it would just fall off. Under my calendar, I'm making a section for important dates, and this just helps me keep track of things because I've tried using the reminders on my phone in the past and it didn't really work out. I also have a checklist of monthly goals because I feel like every month I have a few big projects, whether it be in school or work that I want to work on, and so just being able to come back and check those off one by one, I feel like I would feel a lot more accomplished to be able to see it on paper after I'm done with the project. Another tip that I have is to use a credit card like I am here as a ruler. If you have a smaller bullet journal, sometimes a large ruler can really get in the way, and a credit card is just the perfect size for a lot of the boxes that you want to use, and it just makes life a lot easier. Here I'm just going back and working on the border of the calendar. This really isn't necessary, I just wanted to add a little bit of extra flair. And next, I'm just filling in all the numbers of my calendar. I sort of messed up halfway through because I forgot the size of the numbers that I was actually trying to draw, but I feel like it turned out pretty good overall. This was one of my favorite pages just because of how simple it was. I had used date trackers in the past and I had a goals checklist, but I like to combine a lot of things that usually I see across multiple page spreads, multiple page spreads, and it just works well for me. So this next page is something that I've actually been wanting to do for a while. I've sort of been spending money like crazy, so I thought it might be a good idea to make a monthly budget. I'm back home for the summer, so I did a 4-month budget for the months of May, June, July, and August. And I really just thought this would be a good way to visualize my different little sources of income, track all the bills that I have to pay. I mean, I'm in college, so really my bills are like Apple Music, theme park subscription, iCloud subscription. So really I don't have too many bills now that I'm back home. I don't have to worry about rent for a couple of months, but still I do have to save for the fall. So me being able to visualize the money coming in and going out, I think would be really helpful. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I've had my eye on a few different spreads on Pinterest. I'll link the ones that I used below for inspiration for this, but I thought it came out really, really well. One of my favorite things to draw are ribbons, and I don't know, just something about it is really cool, drawing ribbons. They're, of course, not necessary, but I thought it jazzed up my spread a little bit, and it still is really minimalistic, and I'd say the spread looks pretty professional and simplistic. I just have at the top a box for my income, and then I did 4 separate boxes where you can put 4 different types of income, and then I did it across 4 months. Under that, I have a bills box, and that has name, due date, and amount. Usually I would draw out the lines, but I figured it might be easier to draw the lines as I put the expenses in, just because sometimes when I look at the bullet journal and I see all these drawn lines, it can get a little bit confusing, and I can feel like I don't really have enough space to write what I need to. Over on the right, I have an expenses tab, and I separate bills from expenses just because I feel like expenses are more like, oh, going out to eat or going to a movie or something with friends that aren't really necessary, so I should try to manage my expenses more than I manage bills, obviously because I don't have a lot of control over the monthly bills. But this is a great setup actually if you're looking for a way to manage your money and visualize it on paper. I think it will really help understand what you're actually spending every month. Lastly, I'm just using my Prismacolor brush tip marker to fill in all these titles. I didn't really try to stick to a calligraphy style or anything. I just wrote everything in at this point. I'm not the best with brush lettering, but I feel like it came out pretty well. You could always come back and color the ribbons or color code the sections, but I think that the black on white looks pretty good all by itself. At the bottom, I just have a section for total bills and expenses, and then I had a little bit of white space left over, so I made a reminder section. And lastly, I'm just erasing all the pencil marks. Again, nothing new here. On this next page, I'm just going to do a habit tracker. I've been wanting to do one of these for a while where they actually have it set up where it looks like an entire calendar. That way you can actually track the different things that you want to keep up on in separate boxes. I've never really been a fan of the circular habit trackers just because I feel like things can get a little bit confused. With this one, there are a lot of separate boxes, so I feel like it makes it easy. Basically, you set up these little calendars of 30, so it's 4 by 15, and at the top you put what your goal is. So for example, mine was I think drink 10 or 12 cups of water a day, and to the side I just made a modification to what I saw for this habit tracker on Pinterest, and that's just a long box because I feel like I can number that from 1 to 31, and then I can just keep track of whether I met all of my goals that day. That way when I look back over the month, I can see how many days did I meet everything I needed to. Drawing this was extremely tedious, so I wouldn't actually recommend doing this one if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, but I do think that it came out really great. I did mess up some of the numbers, and also I just started from the 10th because I just got this new bullet journal and I didn't actually bullet journal this month until today, so I figure why go back all of those days if they don't exist anymore. It would just be kind of pointless. As you can see here, I'm just going through and making a section for sort of like a daily planner. I just did this over 3 pages at most. It'll take up 4 pages in your journal, so to front and back. I don't really like making my journal into a whole plan kind of thing, because otherwise I would have just bought a planner, but I'm gonna see how this setup works for me. It was really easy to draw because it's just a simple line across the date for that week, and whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. So really easy to draw, really simple, and I feel like it came out really great. And lastly, just a page for me to write down some of my video ideas. So yeah, that concludes it. This is my men's professional bullet journal setup for the month of May. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you like this video or you found any of the information useful. Thanks for watching.